And we are live. What's good, Josh? The man, DL Saint. That's right. It's a late night one. Guess what? Uncle Saint is yeah, I was out, y'all. I probably had a couple. Brother Dino Dinosaur wanted to see Lit Saint again. Yo, Unc, we gonna be Lit Saint again. Oh, here we go. We got something to talk about, y'all. I want to thank y'all for checking out my brother Perry Davis Jr. was on here earlier. We were talking about the passport bros and how they are messing up the travel game. You know what I mean? We was talking about that earlier, man. So you know what I mean? Shout out to y'all who caught that. Shout out to all you guys who are watching it in team replay. Yo, brother Dino was like, yo, man, when we gonna see Lit Saint? I said, you might see him tonight. And guess what? Here he go, right here. I might have had a couple tonight, y'all. I might have had a couple, but I got a story to tell. Um, Brother Mike's in the building. What's good, fam? How you doing, fam? Good to see you, man. You know what I mean? Still early where you are, but it's late where I'm sitting. So, man, it's I ain't gonna lie to you. I was gonna come home and just kind of, chill out, lay it down. But man, I wanted to talk about this, man. I wanted it's so tonight I was out and I went to a gentleman's club, right? And I know what y'all thinking, like, yo, Unc, what you doing in the strip club? Well, there was someone there I needed to see. There was someone there that I know that's a friend that I gave some advice to over a year ago. I haven't been in this place in over a year. And she took my advice and she is on her way to becoming very successful in the real estate business. I mean, she's cash flush. Like in the business she in, she's doing well. She's a beautiful young woman, but she listened to me. And I follow her on social media and I was kind of seeing what she's doing. And everything, she sat down, she asked me questions, and I told her, you know what I mean? I gave her some game. I said, look, this is what you might want to think about. You might want to do this. And she's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And to her credit, she did it. And I went to tell her how proud I was of her and her accomplishments and what she is doing and how she's doing it. So that's why I went in there. So for anybody thinking, oh, he going in there, the chicks and this and that, man, I ain't got time for all that, bro. Trust me, it was cheeks all over the place. Boy, they was clapping everywhere. You hear me? The cheeks all over the place. But guess what? They for rent. And I ain't interested, bro. I ain't trying to rent that. You know what I mean? We let all the other dudes rent that. We'll let them other dudes get that bread. We'll let them other dudes lace the pockets of our people so they can go out and buy more real estate. You know what I mean? But I wasn't doing that. And here in Tampa, this particular strip club, shout out to Scores, they have the best filet in Tampa, in my opinion. They have a really good chef in there. So I went, I had a nice filet, had some some potatoes with it. You know what I mean? Had me a one, two, three, or four. I had a few drinky drinks, you know what I mean? And I'm in there, like I said, I know the bar staff. I'm really close, really cool with them. I'm really cool with security. So I went in there to do my thing, have a good time. I was sitting there actually reading my scripts, waiting for my people to show up. And she showed up and she only comes on the weekends. So I had to come in there on the weekend just to see her. So it was her and there's another female in there that I'm really cool with. Those are the only two that I really rock with. They come over, they talk to me, but this young lady listens to me. So I had to go in there and tell her, you know what I mean, how proud I was. But while I was waiting for her, I'm sitting at the bar. I have a spot. Like they see me walk in, they get my little spot for me. They're like, yo, they reserve it or whatever. If they see me, they'll put something there so no one can sit there. So they like, yo, come on through. Your spot over here. So I came over there, I sat down, you know me, put my order in. There was a guy next to me, right? Average American, you know what I mean? White dude, overweight, um, you know, under 6 feet, right? Like I said, the average dude. And he's sitting there and he's talking to the wait staff, right? He's in there, and I'm just, I'm always observing. I'm a people watcher. That's what I do. Wherever I go, I'm watching what's going on around me. So I'm paying attention to what's going on. Now I'm sitting there. There's a guy next to me, and then next to him is a young brother who's entertaining a couple of the girls who work there. He's basically renting. He's renting. You feel me? He's about that. He's putting his money out there. He's renting, a couple of girls or whatever. He's ordering food or whatever. There's shots coming and stuff. So the dude next to me and the dude and then the other guy, no one knows each other. Everyone's strangers. But I'm sitting there. I pull out my phone. I'm always making good use of my time. It's a script that I'm reading. A friend of mine, shout out to Chris. A friend of mine has a script he's written. He wants me to take a look at it, give him some notes. So I'm like, all right, it's an opportunity. I'm sitting here. I'm reading the script, and they're doing whatever. And I notice this guy's like talking. He's really focused on his focus in his conversation on the bartender, who's very beautiful and very cool. And he's talking to her, and she's been there. She's an OG. She's been there for a while, and he's like really trying to talk to her. Not trying, but she's working. And he's really having this conversation, and you can see he's looking around. He's trying to make friends. And after he left, I asked my bartender friend, like, "Yo, what's up with dude that was sitting next to me earlier?" And she was like, "Oh yeah," she runs it down. Like he seemed real lonely, yo. Like he's like really trying to be seen, just trying to have a conversation. She was like, "Yeah, he's a really nice guy." And I'm like, I could get that, I see that. But I'm like, yo, he come in here like he always doing this. Right. And she ran it down. She told me about it. Apparently dude comes from a real nice family, so money's no issue. Right? You hear that? Money is no issue for real. Dude papered up. Dude's a hard worker. But he's coming into a gentleman's club so he can be seen, so he can be heard, so he can have conversations. And I couldn't get it. He wasn't renting the girls. He wasn't getting dances. He wasn't throwing money. He wasn't doing any of that. He simply wanted to have a conversation. So I'm like, yo, like this man doesn't even have any associates, no friends. Like he's coming in here. He was lightweight trying to get my attention. Again, I'm reading my script. I ain't paying attention to him. There's women coming up, trying to work, trying to work him. He ain't falling for that. So it seems like he's smart enough, or probably got burned a couple times. He knows better. But he just wanted to have a conversation. I'm sitting there like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, dude is in here. This is the home of the finesse. This is where dudes come to get finessed out of their money. He ain't here trying to make friends. And I got to thinking, Scott Galloway talks about this. Scott Galloway talks about this. There are a lot of articles out there about the loneliness epidemic, especially when it comes to men, young men in America. And all this is tied to, of course, like technology, social media, the whole dating game, the whole sexual marketplace, and all that landscape, right? All that's tied into this. So I'm seeing it firsthand. Sitting here, seeing it firsthand. I ain't gonna lie to you. I told my friend behind the bar, I was like, yo, I was this close to just saying, hey, buddy, you need a friend? You need somebody to talk to? Because I could feel it. I could really feel it. His loneliness was almost to a point of desperation, bro. I could feel it. That emptiness. And like I say, he seemed like a good guy. He didn't seem like a weirdo. You know what I mean? He wasn't saying fly stuff. He wasn't talking reckless. He was simply sitting there trying to have a conversation with folks, man. And I just, of course, my people showed up. She saw I was in there. She came over, started talking to me, and like the rest of my night went the way it went. But it was in the back of my mind. I'm thinking about this. Which the fact that I got places I could go. I got friends. I got associates. I got folks I can't stand to be looking forward to see me. Right? I go have a conversation with anybody. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, this guy is struggling just to make a connection. Wow. Kind of blew my mind. So, like I said, Scott Galloway. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a professor. He's out of NYU. Very sharp dude. And here he is right here. Scott Galloway talks a lot about this, man, this epidemic or whatever you want to call it, this situation that America's in the Western world, really. The entire Western world is suffering. And how these guys are having problems. And he's going to talk about how it can be extreme and it can lead to some violence and stuff like that. But it all stems from lonely, friendless young men. Right? So let's listen to Scott Galloway real quick.
I want to be clear. I don't want to stereotype or reduce every introvert or young male that has is getting no interest from women as being a mass shooter. But when these men become isolated, they become much more prone to misogynistic content. They become much more prone to conspiracy theory, less likely to believe in climate change. They just become poor citizens. And once they get past a certain point of isolation, they don't develop any EQ, any social skills. It used to be kind of friends, work, college. Now over half of relationships are beginning online. And there's some strange dynamics here, and that is there's incredible mating inequality. We talk about income inequality, but there's also mating inequality. What do we mean by that? Somewhat remiss to have an open conversation around this because you risk sanctioning, but women and men have different criteria for the people they're initially attracted to. For women, it's number 3, kindness, number 2, intelligence, and number 1 is their ability to signal resources.
So right off rip, anyone who is in the red pill space, manosphere world, they've heard these talking points. You hear them over and over and over again. And here's a professor. This is a guy who's all about data. This is a guy who's like really trying to take a look at this. You know what I mean? A three, you know what I mean, like a 30,000 foot view of what's going on. This guy's very successful, right? He's a 1%er. He's had businesses, you know, he's created businesses, he's taught, he's done all that stuff. He started out with nothing. He was raised by a single mom in California in the 60s. He came up and, you know, he took advantage of the educational system, and he was able to go out there and make something of himself. And he talks about this. I'm gonna be doing a lot of talking about Professor Scott Galloway over the upcoming months, because I've really been following I've been watching and listening to his lectures. I've been reading a lot of his writing. I haven't read his book yet, Adrift. I'm going to order it. I'm going to read his book. I'm really following this guy, right? I'm digging what he's talking about. But he's talking about these guys out here who are sexless, these guys who are lonely, they are friendless, they have no prospects. They're not going to school. It's like they've given up, right? So let's continue.
Guy on Twitter, if there's 50 men on Tinder and 50 women on Tinder, between 40 and 45 of the women will show all of their attention to just 5 to 10 men. Women are much choosier. They have a much finer filter. They swipe right on much fewer people. So the result is what I'll call Porsche polygamy. And that is the top 10 of attractiveness, or not top 10% of attractiveness of male get all of the attention, which doesn't encourage good behavior or long-term relationships. And the bottom half of men, from an attractiveness standpoint, are totally shut out of the market. So if mating if you apply the Gini coefficient, which is variance, to mating, it's more unequal than income inequality in Venezuela. Oh, it's no less.
Right? What's he talking about here, man? That's the 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule, 90-10 rule, whatever you want to use. That's what he's talking about. Now, of course, my thing is, it is what it is. Learn what the game is, adjust to the situation on the ground, adjust accordingly, do what you got to do. Be fluid like water, right? You can't be rigid, be fluid. But he's just putting the facts out there. This is what's going on. And no one seems to care, right? No one cares about a man's struggle. That's real talk. No one really cares. You know, if a female is really just female, she's going to get some sort of attention. Doesn't matter where she is on that scale from 1 to 10, doesn't matter. She's going to get attention, because there's so many dudes who don't get that attention. They're going to be there to holler at her. So I've never met a woman who was starved for choice. Now, she might not be able to get the guy she wants. She might not be able to get the type of caliber she wants for long term, but she can get them short term. In most cases, she can get them to agree to do whatever, like, you know. So women aren't starved for choice, but men, on the other hand, most of them are invisible. Like that guy at the bar tonight. That poor dude was invisible. The guy's a millionaire, and he's invisible. Think about that for a moment. Brother Mandrell's in the building. What's good, fam? Good to see you. Let's continue.
It's no more aspirational or thoughtful or balanced. It's appearance, but men are attracted to and willing to swipe right on a much broader set of women. And some women are just much choosier, because biologically, the reality is the downside of sex and pregnancy is much greater for women. So women traditionally have been much choosier about partners. And when you bring technology in, it becomes a winner take most environment. And that's what's happening here. where you have a small number of men who garner almost all of the attention. And also in a two-dimensional format, it doesn't give you the opportunity to experience some of the wonderful chemistry and magic and mystery of what you're attracted to. There's no smell, there's no humor, there's no body language, there's no vibe. It's really about, okay, if you went to MIT and you're starting at KKR or Google and your Rolex accidentally slips into your profile picture and you're geolocating from a high income zip code, you're going to get a lot of attention. And
I mean, think about what you just said there, man. Like you don't get to touch, to smell, to enjoy. This is stuff I never really thought of, but it's facts. When you sit down and you think about it, there are people out there, mostly men, they've never enjoyed the touch of a woman. They've never enjoyed those intimate moments with a woman, be it, you know what I mean, like the puppy love you get as kids and all that kind of stuff, elementary, middle school, and high school. They don't know what it's like to walk around holding hands. They don't know what it's like to fall asleep on the phone talking to somebody, right? They don't know what it's like to smell her hair before she knew about perfume and you just smelling like her shampoo or whatever, right? They don't know about any of that. They don't know about just leaning up against the wall and she's leaning up against you, like you're back to the wall and her back is on you. They don't know that. That's what I'm sitting here thinking about it now. Like, bro, there's men walking around this planet that they don't know the touch of a woman. They don't know that, or a girl. Like they've never had it. You're talking about dudes they never had their first kiss and they in their 30s, bro. Sit down and think about that, guys. If you're sitting here watching this now, I know it's late. A lot of y'all probably out there getting doing whatever, doing your thing. But if you're watching this on Team Replay, man, sit down and think about that for a moment. And if you're one of those dudes that've never had an engagement with a woman like that, you've never had that intimacy, and I ain't talking about smashing and all that. I'm just talking about just having a woman give you attention, you giving her attention. You guys are just looking into each other's eyes and holding hands and just talking or looking at the sky, walking down the street. There are dudes that've never had that. If you're that guy, you've never had that, yo, you need to go holler at somebody. And then you add to that, they don't have nobody to holler at. These dudes don't have friends today because no one went outside. These kids didn't go outside. So they don't have friends. They don't have any social skills. They don't know how to make friends. Again, like the dude that was in the bar tonight. He's sitting there struggling, trying to make friends, buying shots. He's talking. He's trying to get people into his conversation. He's trying to jump into other conversations. This man is fighting for attention, trying to make a connection. Ain't even talking about nothing sexual, just trying to make friends, male buddies, female platonic friends. Think about that, bro. Think about that. It's crazy. Let's continue.
And men have a much broader perspective, or I don't know what the term is, just aren't as choosy. I think that there's a lot of things we could do. One, for example, I'm a big fan of national service. I think it would help young people, especially young men, to get in the agency of other people from different income levels, different sexual orientations, different regions, different backgrounds, and start realizing that we're Europeans and Americans first before we're conservatives or liberals. I think we need investment in third spaces, and those spaces where young people can hang out together in person. I think we need a massive investment in increasing freshman seats and vocational programs to get more people out of the house and make them more economically viable. And I think as parents, we need to ensure that our kids get out of the house every day and do something in the agency, or their kids get to do something in the agency of others, building something bigger than themselves, whether it's a sport team or church or education or working in a nonprofit or doing social national service. But the number of teenagers who see their friends every day has been cut in half. We're a social species. And the next crisis, if you will, I think that we're going to talk more and more about is going to be loneliness. 1 in 7 men say they don't have a single friend.
1 in 7 men say they don't have a single friend. Everything he's talking about, we had. We had sports teams every summer. Everybody played where I'm from, Southern Ohio. Everyone played baseball in the summertime. Everyone was on a baseball team. Little league baseball. I was in the band. People had choir. We'd go to church, spend the day at church, socializing with folks. I played football. I was in the jazz band. I was in the marching band. There was people that were in drama class. There were people in there with choir. But everyone was doing something. Sometimes we had to go outside. Summertime, go outside, couldn't come back, be back on the street when the street lights came on. But we was out there roaming, doing stuff, interacting with other kids from other blocks. I had my cousins. We were out there. Now kids don't have that. I've always had friends, quote unquote friends. I've always had associates. I've been a cool kid pretty much my whole life. And the fact that, when he's saying that, these men don't even have friends. I got guys that I go all the way back to the sandbox with. I got guys that I came up with. We just did all sorts of stuff. We probably met playing football or baseball, just on the block chilling. People to this day, if I run up on them like, hey, what's good, man? It's cool. We sit down. We tight to this day. Right? That's crazy that folks don't have that. Join the military. So he might be on to something there. We was talking about that service requirement. It just forces you. Okay, you want to join the military? Fine. Peace Corps. Go out, put yourself in a situation where you're out learning, doing stuff, and you're forced to work with others. I like the way he said that. Before you're conservative, before you're liberal, we're Americans first.
We're a social species, and when we're alone, we begin to die. The gentleman who attacked Salman Rushdie on the stage, that wasn't about the fatwa. That was about a man living in his mother's basement. If you look at the most violent, unstable societies in the world, they all have one thing in common, and that is they're producing too many of these young, broken, alone men. And in the U.S., we're producing way too many of them. It's become a situation where men don't mature as quickly. Their prefrontal cortex literally doesn't develop as quickly. And when they don't have jobs, when they don't attach to school, you hear about a mass shooter and you know who it is before you know who it is. It's a
young broken men. I was sitting next to a young broken man tonight at the spot, at the bar. A young broken dude sitting right next to me, just screaming out, trying to make connections. And I messed up. I ain't gonna lie. We have the new Templars here. We started a group of young, of men. I'm gonna find that guy. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna talk to my friend, the bartender. She has his number. I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna have her reach out to dude. I'm gonna invite him to come join us, to come to one of our meetings and talk to the Knights. I want you to come down and, man, come on, holler at the Knights, bro. Not because his family is worth a bunch of money, not because we could probably get over on him. Nah, because we want to give him an opportunity to fellowship with other men. Give him an opportunity so he can go out here and make some friends. Because it's not always about money, people. Everybody out here trying to get to the bag. It ain't always about the money, man. We need to take care of one another. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. We need to take care of each other. Shame on me for not saying something to that brother. I should have said something to that brother. I could have invited him to come join our next meeting. Like, why don't you come to our next meeting? I could have done that, but I didn't. Shame on me. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that. You feel me? And I don't want anything out of it. We need to be selfless, in my opinion. Go out here and help this guy. Why not? Why not help him? A fellow human, a fellow American. Why not help him? I can see where he can tighten up, on his end and maybe be successful with meeting folks. I could talk to him about fashion. I could talk to him about, male fragrances, right? Getting his cologne game on. I could talk to him about, sharpening his social skills. Maybe not look so thirsty, maybe not look so lonely. I can help him with that. Get your hair cut, man. Get into the gym. Right? Shame on me for not helping that guy. Let's continue.
Man who isn't attaching to anything. And it's not only, and I want to be clear, I don't want to stereotype or reduce every introvert or young male that has is getting no interest from women as being a mass shooter. But when these men become isolated, they become much more prone to misogynistic content. They become much more prone to conspiracy theory, less likely to believe in climate change. They just become poor citizens. And once they get past a certain point of isolation, they don't develop any EQ, any social skills. And 1 in 3 men in America under the age of 30 have not had sex in the last year. and you hear the word sex and your mind fires a bunch of different places. But I just think of it as a key step to the elemental foundation of any society, and that is a relationship. Young people, especially young men, need guardrails. And if they're not getting guardrails because they don't have to come into work and put on a clean shirt and blow dry their hair, if they're not having guardrails in a relationship, which is fantastic guardrails around behavior and what's required to maintain that relationship, they literally lose all sense of societal norms. They stop improving, and they become resentful and angry. I think it's a big problem.
And that is a fact, y'all. That is a huge problem. And that's something that we can all work on, man. Like I said, shame on me for not reaching out to that dude. It wouldn't cost me nothing to have a little conversation with that dude. I knew that's what he was looking for. I could have chatted him up. I could talk to anybody, bro. I could have chatted him up. I'm gonna fix that. We need to start looking out for each other. We do. And then there's an article out here. I'm gonna pull this up. You know what I mean? I know I jumped on a random Friday night. I know people out there doing stuff, so we probably won't have our normal folks coming up, jumping up, you know what I mean? And it's all good. It's all good, y'all. Like I said, I came home, I was lightweight lit, but now I'm sober. Like this done sober me up. You know what I mean? Like I'm sober. So here's an article, USA Today. This is February 3rd, 2023, and it was updated February 7th. Boys and men are lonelier than ever. What can we do about it? Patrick Ryan wrote this, USA Today. Are men okay? In all likelihood, they'll never tell you. Only 21% of men only 21% of men say they receive emotional support from a friend within the past week, compared to 41% of women, according to a 2021 survey by the Survey Center on American Life. Similarly, just 25% of men said they've said "I love you" to a friend recently, as opposed to 49% of women. And I know that second one, man, you're like, come on, man, we ain't gay. What's up with this "I love you" stuff? But dudes do that. They do it all the time. Like, I love you, bro. I love you, fam. You know what I'm saying? What's good, bro? I love you, man. What's up, man? You hear it all the time. I hear that from hood dudes. I hear that from thugs. I hear that from hitters. Right? Yeah, I mean, that's real. I used to hear that all the time when I was back on the block. Right? I used to hear it all the time. Yo, I love you, man. Be careful out there, bro. Because we knew we might not see each other again. I told y'all the story about my buddy David Mitchell. You know, Lil Dave. Last time I saw Lil Dave, I wish I told him I loved him, because I never saw him again after that. I saw him one night. We was back on the block, whatever. I never saw him again. I wish I told him that. You know what I mean? Same with my man Dave Moore. I talked to him, was texting back and forth. Talking to him, texting him, there was something going on. I'm like, man, go see the doctor, man, go do this, go do that. We texting back and forth. I'm like, come on, man, don't play with this, man. We texting back and forth. I wish I told him I loved him. I never saw him again. We lost him. You feel me? So now men need to be saying that. Brother Rook's in the building. Absolutely. R.I.P. Dave. Glad we took that photo together that last time. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm glad we did that too, bro. For real. That's my man. You never know. I mean, it just is what it is. So many dudes be out here like, oh, man, you got to be hard. Yeah, you do sometimes. But, you know, your people. Like, that's my man, Rook. I love Rook. That's my brother. I'll do anything for Rook. He know that. He'll do anything for me, man. That's my brother. You feel me? So, but men need to do that, man. Like, Rook got friends, close friends, associates, fam. I got friends, close friends, associates, fam. You know what I mean? We're not lonely. We've never been lonely. We know what we're doing with women. You know what I mean? Trust and believe. Like, Rook and I are not among those dudes who haven't had sex in the past year. You know what I mean? It is those men who can't get that attention, man. I'm starting to see that this is really a problem. So the article continues. It's part of an epidemic of loneliness that director Lucas Donoit, I don't know who that is, says he wanted to explore in his new drama Close, now in theaters nationwide, which is an Oscar nominated for Best Foreign Film. which follows two inseparable teen boys. Oh, this seems like this is going to be a promotion for this movie. I thought it was going to talk about lonely men, but let's see. We live in a society that tells young men that there are two things we validate more than tenderness and vulnerability. Did I read that right? Y'all know I'm a little tipsy. We live in a society that tells young men that there are things we validate more than tenderness and vulnerability. We teach young men to stop caring for authentic connections. Be more distant with emotions. It's an incredibly brutal thing. I don't agree with that. That's how I was raised. People from my generation. But today they tell kids to be in touch with their emotions. So I don't agree with that. I think young men need to understand that there's nothing wrong with being stoic, but the being stoic doesn't mean being like a stone, right? You still have to have connections. So I don't believe with that. What's this talking about? Close doing some verification. What is close about? So yeah, this is like it's an advertisement for this movie. That's what I get for choosing USA Today. Y'all see what's up with mainstream media? Y'all see what's up with mainstream media, right? NPR has an article. America has a loneliness epidemic. Here's 6 steps to address it. That's NPR. I don't want to say. Dallas Morning News. Young men fight loneliness with sports. Yeah, my bad, guy. I thought that would be a good article. My bad for not reading it ahead of time. That was a bad article. That was a bad article. But I do believe that we're having an issue with loneliness, especially in America. People just don't know how to socialize anymore, young guys. And then, you know, if you don't have any social skills, you can't make friends, let alone try to holler at some woman. But you can't even make friends. That's gotta drive you crazy, especially, like Dr. Galloway said, like Professor Galloway said, man, we are social creatures. I mean, look at like we're mammals. Look at the dogs. Like if you got dogs, what do your dogs do? They lay on each other. They sleep together. They lay on each other. They need that connection, right? If they don't have other dogs to lay on, what they do? They're gonna come lay on you, come jump in the bed, lay on you, curl up all under you. We're mammals. We need that. It's. I mean, like we're so bogged down in this country with a bunch of BS, man. Like what's going on with politics? Which yeah, I get it. Politics is real. I get we got problems with the economy. I get we got problems with the job sector and AI's coming and we got our racial issues and all the rest of it. But that doesn't mean we should isolate ourselves and turn our backs on one another. You got people who have been raised by their parents, they're raised by their mom or raised by their dad, and that's it. No extended family, no cousins. You know what I mean? No brothers, no sisters. What happens when you lose your parent? Like you don't even know how to interact with regular people in the real world. Working remote. People on dating apps. None of that's real. People on YouTube, none of that's real. I stay in the streets, man, because I need a connection to the real world. But the real world is changing. It's changing. Here's something else we could bring up. And this is Courtney Ryan. I think we've seen this particular video on this platform. But here she's saying 63% of men under 30 are single. Let's check this out.
To highlight some of the major statistics that I found on this topic. The first one being here that 63% of men under 30 are electively single, as I mentioned, and this is up from 51% in 2019. Experts are blaming erotic alone time online as a major culprit. The next one, in the worst case scenario, the young American man's social disconnect can have tragic consequences. Young men commit suicide at 4 times the rate of young women. The next statistic here is that women now collect nearly 60% of bachelor's degrees. Another one here, as of 2022, Pew Research Center found 30% of US adults are neither married, living with a partner, nor engaged in a committed relationship. Nearly half of all young adults are single, 34% of women, and a whopping 63% of men. And you're probably thinking, well, how are only 34
Those numbers are staggering, guys. Those numbers are staggering. This is the future we're headed towards. It's going to be way more lonely dudes like the one I encountered tonight in strip clubs, in local bars, in like the little hole in the walls, you know, at probably sit in the park sitting on a bench. People who are looking for folks that they can share their lives with, and they're just wasting away. And like she said, these dudes are out here deleting themselves. It's man, it's crazy because they can't make connections. They can't talk to other humans. Yeah, I get it. It's hard. It is. It's difficult. I spent my entire childhood learning how to be social. My entire childhood. Some of us were better at it than others, but all of us were at least out there trying to make it happen. I can remember the first time I got a hug. I was in middle school, Crest Hills Middle School. I was in middle school and Kenya Martin walked up and I was walking around. I guess I was looking sad. I don't know. I'm just walking through the hallways. Just between, so classes was going on. I had a hall pass to go do something. She had a hall pass to go do something. We're walking opposite. Kenya was one of the cool kids. Cute little girl. One of the cutest, most popular girls in the school. And I'm just kind of walking. I have my head down. I'm, shoulders are slumped over, whatever. And she sees me walking the other way. Kenya didn't even know me at this point. She probably recognized me or something like that from football or something, or maybe the band or whatever is hanging out. But she didn't know me. And she looked at me and she says, "Oh, you look like you need a hug." And she walked up on me and gave me a hug. Turned my life around. That's one of those moments in my life that I can point to and it's like, yeah, I was never the same after that. Turned my life around. I was hugging everybody after that, bro. I was like Forrest Gump would say, I was a hugging machine. After that, bro, I was getting after it. And I wasn't trying to be dirty. I'm not trying to smash. I was touching and hugging. I was hugging my people, hugging my friends. Right? Because Kenya came up and gave me a hug, bro. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I was down. I was feeling bad that day for whatever reason. For real. As a youngin', I was a kid, bro. Little teen. Kenya came up and changed my life. And we went on to be good friends. Like, she was already with the cool kids. And eventually I got in with the cool kids. I mean, it was what it was. We were in middle school, right? I was playing football and all that, playing baseball in the band, all that. But she changed the direction of my life from that moment moving forward because she gave me a hug. And that dude tonight, I could have changed his life. Now, I ain't saying I was going to give him a hug now. Hold on, I ain't doing all that. But I could have given him conversation, companionship. We could have sat there and just chopped it up right there. I know I could have made the man laugh. Hell, I'm a comedian. I make everybody laugh. But I didn't. You see, what would have happened if Kenya didn't give me that hug? What would I could have gone on to do something stupid. What would have happened? You know what I mean? So it's just like I said, shame on me for not helping my fellow human. Let's continue.
4% of women single, but 63% of men are single. That is because a lot of women are dating the same men or going for the same men. Not great. And this one blew my mind, but honestly, I wasn't that surprised. And it says only half of single men are actively seeking relationships or even casual dates. According to Pew, that figure is declining. So I really just wanted to gather those because that's kind of what we're going to be talking about for the rest of the video. Those were the biggest standout statistics to me and all of the research that I did here. I think there is a lot to unpack here, and we're going to kind of get into that. So let's get going.
And she goes in to talk about a lot of stuff. I'm going to clip, I will link in the description this video here. I will link Professor Galloway's video so y'all can go back and watch them in full. You feel me? Brother Rook, face-to-face, genuine, no walls up conversation is what's missing in society. Facts. Because that was the kind of conversations we had in school, wasn't it? When we was kids, it was face-to-face. It was real. It was no walls up. We didn't care about nothing. We didn't have any politics. You know what I mean? We kids. We just sitting around, whatever. It was, you talk with her. Hey, what's going on? You want to be friends? Okay, we're friends now. I agree with you, bro. Rook's right. Face-to-face, genuine, no walls up conversation is what's missing in today's society. I agree with that 100%. 100%. But I'm sitting here now, I'm thinking about Kenya and how she changed my life as a youngin', and how I just let that dude just suffer. Make no mistake about it, y'all. Dude was suffering. I could feel it. Right? I could sense it. I knew it. And there I am. I got my phone out and I'm reading the scripts. Now, in my defense, I planned on doing that. I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna grab a bite to eat, right? I'm gonna read this script. I got the script today. I'm like, I promised my buddy I would read it, get some notes, and get it back to him. So I'm gonna keep my word. But I could have put my phone down for a moment. I could have jumped in there. It was plenty of opportunity for me to jump in, engage him with a conversation, because he was throwing it out there. He was throwing out the lines, man. I could have grabbed the line and just went ahead and pulled him on over, hollered at him. What's good, bro? I could have done that. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I'm mad at myself. I'm a little ashamed of myself. I could have done that. There ain't no skin off my nose to do that. And it would have made his night, possibly his weekend, his week. Because Kenya changed me forever with just that one small gesture. She changed me forever in a good way. And I could have just had this conversation with this man. Maybe I could have changed this man moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Give him that little boost he needed to keep going. Man, that's terrible. Shame on me. Me especially, because I'm out here reading these articles, I'm watching these videos, I'm reading these books. I know what's going on. I can't say I don't know. And I'm in tune. I sensed it. I'm like, and the thing that gets me is I could tell not only that he was lonely, but he was a good guy. I could tell he was cool. It was, you feel me? It was just, there was nothing negative there about this dude. He wasn't weird in the least. I mean, it was nothing. He was just sitting there, just imagine that. He is completely alone in a space full of people. Completely alone, surrounded by people. And I'm sitting there right next to him, man. Y'all know how I feel about religion and all that, man. Intelligent thoughts and God or gods or whatever. But did I blow my opportunity? Was I placed there to help this man and I didn't step up? That's going to come back and bite me. Right? That's going to be the universe. The universe is going to come back and they're going to come. The universe is going to come see me for that. Right? It's, people who believe in karma and all that kind of stuff. That I might get some bad karma my way because I failed to help my fellow human who was right there. It wouldn't have taken nothing but a conversation. What I'm doing now. Think about that. All I had to do is talk, just like I'm talking now. I'm gonna make that one right, y'all. I'm gonna make that one right. But think about that when y'all out here moving in the streets. Y'all out here moving about or whatever. Look around what's going on around you. Take a look at what's going on around you. Look at the people that's moving around you. Look in their eyes, man. Take a look into their soul, bro. Go ahead and have a look. See what you see. I'm seeing a lot of loneliness, man. Not just here in Tampa, right? I'm seeing it in Miami. I'm seeing it in Dallas. I'm seeing it in LA. I'm seeing it in Chicago, DC. I'm seeing it in New York. I'm seeing it. Men and women, mostly men. Women gonna get attention. Women gonna have their girls or whatever. It is what it is. And I'm always talking about these bottom 80 guys. I call them basement dwellers, man. They're invisible. How dare who am I? How dare me to sit there, call these dudes invisible, know they're invisible, and still not reach out, not acknowledge them? I could have at least acknowledged dude properly. Like, what's good, bro? I see you. Is that too much to ask, right? I see you. Simple as that. That's the equivalent to can you seeing me and giving me a hug? Changing my life forever. All I had to do was look at this man and just, hey, bro, I see you. Instead, he went home, probably to his nice mansion, right, with his big bank accounts and all this stuff around him, man. Like they say, man, money can't buy you happiness, bro. Money cannot buy you happiness. Like Rook is saying, real talk, man. It happens sometimes, bro. You know, when I get off on that Hennessy, man, sometimes the truth be really coming out, don't it? This is me. This is raw. This is Don. This ain't Saint. This ain't DL Saint, man. This is Don. You know what I'm saying? Rook types. Yeah. Lit Saint talks, Lit Rook types. LOL. Absolutely, man. But y'all can see how close me and his brother is. Like me, this is my brother right here, man. Rook, you know what I'm saying? I be missing I told him last time we talked, like, bro, I miss you, man. I can't wait to see you again, man. For real, I miss my guy. I miss my man Howie. Rook knows what I'm talking about. I use his alias because he doesn't want me to use his real name. But it's another one of our brothers. Right? I got a lot of close people out there in California, man. I miss them all. Bro. You know what I mean? And I just look at that, man. Like, all I had to do was acknowledge this man, this human who was sitting next to me. All I had to do was acknowledge him. I see you. That's not even that hard. I messed up, y'all. I messed up. I'm going to do my best to right that wrong. I hope I can right that wrong. I really do. Right? I really do. And I pray to any God that would listen to that guy doesn't go out and do something crazy like delete himself. That's the last thing I want to hear. The absolute last thing I want to hear. Like, I could have, you know what I mean? And you know what? We're not even going to put that out there, y'all. We ain't going to put that out there. I'm sure he's fine. I'm going to hit my people up. I'm going to go up there and hit my people up and say, hey, do me a favor. Reach out to that guy for me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to invite him to the next New Templars meeting, which is we meet every third Friday. I'm going to invite him to come out. You know what I mean? I'm going to invite him to come out. Hopefully the brother come out and join us. And we can all acknowledge this man. You know what I mean? And he ain't the only one. There's plenty of people. And I have interactions with folks all the time. I was just hanging out with a friend of mine that I met, a new friend that I met through an acquaintance. We have a mutual acquaintance months ago. And, this brother invites me over to his house, man. And, I helped him do a live podcast with his own people and everything. Man, we must have talked a couple hours. This guy's done very well for himself. Turns out this man was in the military just like me. He was in the Army just like me. Airborne. He was at Fort Bragg at the same time I was at Fort Bragg, deployed to Desert Storm just like me. Imagine that. Hey, his brother done all this stuff. He was an officer. I was enlisted. And he went on, he did some hardcore stuff. Hardcore. He had a great career in the United States military, United States Army, man. And it was, we sitting here, we talking like, man, this is cool, man. Like how the world works. And look at this, man. This is amazing. Very successful man, very successful wife. You know what I mean? They have beautiful home, cars, and everything. This guy's driving exotic cars, Ferrari, Lamborghini, got all those other kind of stuff. Real low-key fella. And again, I couldn't sit there and acknowledge the human sitting next to me, because the guy I'm telling you about now, my buddy who was in the Army, the vet like me, man, come on, he got tons of associates, tons of friends. Everybody knows him. I go he's part of the dance world, the salsa world. I go out here and drop his name. Everybody knows this man. This man wasn't nowhere near lonely. He wasn't. We got introduced by somebody. Like, oh man, you seem cool. What's up? He didn't need me. I don't need him. You know what I mean? But this guy next to me needed someone. A lonely person out there in the mix of people, surrounded by people, and he's just lonely. Man, I feel bad about that. Brother Rook, you acknowledge the mistake, first big step. So the next time you won't. Exactly. I'm not going to let that happen again. I'm not. I was there to congratulate a young woman for taking my advice and bettering her life. I was there for that. And I'm there to tell her how proud I am of her and what she has done. But I sat there and I let some humans suffer sitting right next to me, man. It was closer, right? I got a chair sitting next to me here. Y'all can't see it, but right next to me, I got a chair. He was as close to me as this chair right here. I just sat there. Right? Shame on me. Wonderful 34 is in the building. What's good, bro? What up, peoples? And Mr. DL, between you and Suzette with these late night heartfelt shows, I want to tell my story, man. Shit, come on, tell your story, man. I'll drop the link. I ain't doing shit. We ain't doing shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sitting here sobering up. I didn't get a chance to catch Suzette's late one. I know she's going to be on tomorrow talking about the Trump indictment. I'm going to try to catch that tomorrow for sure. On her stream. But yeah, man, come on, tell your what these young kids like to say. Come speak your truth. Your truth. There's only one truth, y'all. Come speak your truth. If you want to come up, bro, man, you're more than welcome. You ain't got to cam up or nothing, man. If you just want to come up and you want to be heard, bro, you're more than welcome, man. Especially you, one of my day ones, bro. Especially you, man. But it's we got to do better. I think it's a society. We can't, you know what I mean? We just can't be selfish. That was so selfish of me tonight to sit there, not acknowledge this man, not help this man. I know he needed help, man. Like, and again, it wouldn't have been hard, bro. That was just, you know what I mean? Like, wonderful 34. Like, I'm joking, but thanks. Yeah, one of these days we're gonna get you up here, bro. Don't be joking around me. I'll get you up here. But nah, man, I'm just, this is what happens when you be like, get a little tipsy and you turn on your internets. You're gonna wind up saying some stuff. Surprised I ain't got somebody playing the harmonica or something in the background. But nah, man, I think we should all challenge each other to do better. And this is one of the ways we can be better. I was watching Nick Fuentes was on Saucecast a couple of days ago, and I fast forward through it. And you look at someone like a Nick Fuentes, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. That's that's a dude that I'll probably smack the taste out of his mouth if I was to see him, right? But it's just I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? I'd be wrong. I'd be wrong to do that. That's another one. That's another one. He's one of them guys. He's out. He's really just screaming for help, isn't he? And how you gonna be a devout racist, anti-race mixing dude who thinks the Nazis had their answers and denying the Holocaust? How you gonna do all that and you have Mexican and half Italian? He ain't never had sex with no woman. You talk about not knowing the touch and the sense of a woman, not knowing the comfort of a woman. That's one of them dudes. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Now, if he come walking in talking about I need some attention or whatever, he'll get it, but it won't be the attention he wants. You know what I mean? I have to tag him in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? Wonderful 34 is like the opportunity will come again. I hope so. He's like, been there. I hope so, bro. And if opportunity comes again, I will not fail. I will not let down my fellow man. And I'm definitely going to talk to my people. I'm going to talk to my friend, the bartender. I'm going to reach out. You know what I mean? I'm going to try. You know what I mean? But that was, I remember a story. My cousin has been going to one of these bars, one of his favorite bars. He's been going there probably for 20 years, right? Maybe a little longer. And we were at his bar. We go there during the football season, and that's where I go to watch my Bengals. That's where I go to watch football. And we're in the bar, and it's crowded. Again, a sea of people. This is like it's not like a huge sports bar. It's a small one, but it's the people there all know each other. It's like a tight little group, right? And the people in there, they've been in there again 20, 25 years, 30 years. They all know each other. So I'm in there with my cousin, man, and this old man, which wasn't part of the group. he's just a traveling dude. He has his camper and his truck and his camper right out front. And you know, me and my cousin was talking, two black dudes, right? Two dudes from the same soil talking by ourselves. And he came up and I saw this guy and I thought, I ain't gonna lie to you. You want to talk about somebody with weirdo vibes? I'm like, this dude got weirdo vibes. I thought he was gonna come up and say something racial. This is Florida, y'all. This is Central Florida. I'm thinking like he might be on some of them Proud Boy stuff, man, good old boy stuff. I walked away. And my cousin is way better than me in these situations. I walked away. And then my cousin disappears inside the bar with this guy. This guy I was convinced was a weirdo guy, right? I stayed away, struck up a conversation with some other folks or whatever, right? And I saw the weirdo guy leave. My cousin, like, you know, gave him a little hug, gave him some dap, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, take care now. Good talking to you, right? The guy walks away, like he waved. He didn't say goodbye. He couldn't talk. And I thought that was weird. Like, how come he didn't say goodbye? He waved and he was walking fast with a purpose. You know what I'm saying? My cousin walks over to me. He was like, bro, that man just started crying because I was talking to him, had a conversation with him, man, bought him a drink, man. That man started crying. I say, what man? That weirdo dude? It's like, yeah, that dude right there. You just saw him right here, over there going into his truck right there. The man started crying, man. Like he said, the man said, I haven't had a conversation with someone in so long. And he thanked my cousin, like, man, thank you for talking to me. And he started crying. My cousin bought him a drink, man. Get you a drink, man. Started crying. And then I saw the part where, you know, my cousin walked him out, gave him, you know, showed him some love, gave him some depth. This is like a dude, like an old, like I said, weirdo looking, raggedy gray beard, trucker hat on, looked like he should be out in the swamp shooting varmints. He's that dude, right? Little bitty dude. I thought it was going to be a problem, man. For real. That's why I walked away. Because Uncle Sam could be a little hothead sometimes. I walked away like, man, he going to say something wrong. I'm going to do something to him. My cousin talked to him, changed his life. He say, man, ain't nobody talked to me in so long. Surrounded by people when nobody talked to him in this bar. They all looked at him like I looked at him. My cousin talked to him, bought him a drink, listened to what he had to say. The man broke down in tears. This dude had to be in his 60s. He broke down in tears. What's going on in our society, people? What's going on? That conversation didn't cost my cousin nothing. I wound up paying the tab, so my cousin didn't even pay for the drink. I did. It was my turn to pay for the tab. Man, change that man's life. Who knows what that man would have done? Could you imagine just you're completely alone in a country full of people surrounded by technology, right? Going into a bar and no one would talk to him. Bar full of white folks. The only person that would talk to him was a black dude from Ohio. Just the only one who would talk to him. And listen, my cousin talked to you, now he gonna listen to what you got to say. It's a real conversation, like Rook was saying. It ain't no, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no bullshit up. Well, how'd you put it? It was a real face-to-face, genuine, no walls up conversation, just like Rook said. That's what it was. My cousin had a conversation with this stranger that I thought was a weirdo. And dude might have been a weirdo, man. Let's keep it 100. Obviously, he ain't talked to nobody in all that time. But my cousin just talked to the man, and the man broke down. And I ain't mad at him for breaking down either, man. I ain't mad at him for breaking down. The man broke down. Got Rook in the building. What's good, fam?
What's up, man?
Rook
I'm lit too, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna jump on this. I saw you put that link, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna jump in on this. It's like one of them Wild West barbecues sitting around the campfire.
I just showed them. I was showing my buddy, the military guy. We was talking about weapons. He got a bunch of weapons, man. And I was going through my pictures looking for a weapon. And then I came across the last time we was out in the desert.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he saw that table. He saw it. He's like, them yours? I'm like, nah, them rooks.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Them allegedly rooks.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you're talking real talk. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get on tonight.
Yeah, man.
Late
What do you
night.
think about that, man? Like my cousin Marvin talking to this dude, man, and the man broke down crying, Rook.
Hey, man, you know what? In my experience, when dudes are sitting around, they're drinking, they let down their guards, you start seeing the real person come out. You'd be surprised, man. I've seen dudes like Chili, break down. And
For
those are the
real?
kind of guys, the kind of guys I run with.
Yeah,
It's
man.
like,
Chili, look, real quick, y'all,
doesn't
just so
matter
y'all
who they
know.
are. As soon as they get genuine, you see those emotions bubbling up. They've been suppressing for a long time. I bet 99% of the guys out there are like that,
Just holding it all in.
holding it all in until they know they're with someone who's genuine, who they know can empathize. I don't think dudes know how many guys can empathize with what they're feeling really deep down. You know what I mean? We all got experiences, good and bad. It's just a lot of us hide the bad stuff. That's just what we do as men. But there's those moments, but they're rare. But when they come up, I mean, I'm telling you, it's rejuvenating. Just doesn't happen enough. There's just too much focus on trying to have like this, a certain type of a aura about you for other people to see. It's just a facade. But as soon as dudes drop the facade, then they can, show who they really are, and they'll be surprised. They won't be lonely. If you're alone, you'll be alone, but you're not lonely. There's one thing
Right.
I learned is loneliness can really hone a man if you use it right, and it doesn't last forever. We're all going to go through lonely times, and it's going to happen again and again and again. And you were talking. I caught the conversation a little bit late, so I don't know who you were talking about. I'm assuming somebody you saw tonight or something.
Yeah, it was a dude at the bar, man. I went to the gentleman's club, and I went to go see a friend of mine.
Drink my water real quick.
Oh yeah, you just drink that water. Yeah, that Jose Cuervo water. So
Diesel.
so I went to go see a friend of mine who she's a young girl in the business, and we had a heart to heart. It was over a year ago, and I was telling her like, look, if you're gonna get out here and make this money, do yourself a favor, look to make some investments. Don't go out here and blow the money. Do X, Y, and Z. We're talking about real estate and stuff like that. So fast forward a year, I'm following her social media. She actually did what we talked about. And so I wanted to go see her and tell her that I was proud of her. And she's a young woman. And she's on her track. She knows what she's going to do with her career. She's on her track to do that. It's a very tough road that she's on. And she's making this money over here. But she was like, look, this is just so I can earn enough to where I can finish the next leg of my journey. I don't want to have to work. And this is going to let me, put this money together, put this money to work for me so I can do what I got to do. And she's actually doing it. So I had to come in there and tell her, I said, look, I've been in gentlemen clubs for decades. And I've heard a lot of women tell me a lot of shit. Right. And I done gave women some real solid advice from the heart. And they just, it's like, whatever, man. But this young woman actually did it. And I had to come in there and tell her I was proud of her. That's why I was there. But it was a guy next to me. I could tell, Rook, he was lonely, bro. Like truly, profoundly alone and surrounded by all these people. And those guys be trying to make conversations and trying real hard.
I've been there. And you said you didn't talk to him, right? Something like that.
I didn't, man. And shame on me, bro. I should have said, all I had to do was just, I could talk to anybody, Rook.
No, I know that. Yeah. I can empathize with that guy. You don't know what happened to him. It could be, a lot more than just he's just a lonely guy in general. You know what I mean? Could be he lost somebody recently, someone close to him. Could have been death. Could have just been, something that a lot of people think, oh, it's just a breakup. But, when your heart's broken or something like that, I mean, I can empathize. I mean, I remember back, it was like 2012. I was in Georgetown over in DC area. And I had lost somebody, just totally unexpected. And I went into a bar and I was that guy. I was just sitting there. I was lonely. And the reason I was there is to be surrounded by people to try to feel, kind of human, like that I wasn't completely alone. But I tell you what, I was just as lonely sitting in a bar full of people you know, it was Halloween. It was right around that time. And as I would have been if I went back to my hotel room, sat there by myself. It's just the depths of it is it hollows you out, you know.
Mm.
And it took me a long time to recover from what happened, you know, years.
Yeah.
But I used that to hone who I am. I really looked into myself, because really, what else can you look at when you're that lonely? And eventually, you could get to a point where um, it becomes solitude. It's not loneliness. You ever seen that
Yes.
movie Heat?
Yes.
There's a scene where Robert De Niro, I forgot the name of his character, but there's a scene where he's uh, on the balcony overlooking L.A. with that girl, and she asks him, you know, are you lonely? And he sits there and he thinks, takes a drink. He says, I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. You know, that it takes a long time to get to that point where you can
Yeah.
be comfortable with it. But you got to hone who you are. And a lot of these younger people that are like the statistics you were reading off. I mean, one thing we didn't have that they unfortunately are blasted with day after day is social media. And there's really not much, there's nothing more vacuous than that, in my opinion.
Facts.
It's you're going to see the best parts of everybody's life on social media, whether it's Facebook with the 50, 60-year-olds, or it's Instagram with the 30 somethings, or it's TikToks, you know, with the teens in the 50, 60-year-olds. But the
Facts.
thing is you're going to keep seeing all this greatness out there, and then you're going to start thinking, shit, what am I doing? And then you're going to start trying to portray yourself to be something more than, you know, you're basically going to feed into the same machine. And the whole time you're empty, and you're empty, and you're empty. And that's why you see a lot of these influencers burning out, you know,
Mm.
because they're not being real with who they are. You know, I had a friend that, you know, that was, I don't know if I should say his name. He was the first black guy that was model for Tommy Hilfiger. He was a good friend of mine since high school.
Okay.
And he jumped off the Pasadena Bridge, killed himself at 40 years old. So,
And that
you
was
know, and I always
because
thought, you know, this guy, yeah, go ahead.
he thought he was less than because
I mean, his name's Sam Sarpong. You can look him up. And, you know, this guy had it all going for him. That's what it looked like. You know, he had everything going for him on the surface. That's what we thought. So I remember seeing him, and he seemed like he's pretty, you know, kind of down, but he's hiding it.
Mhm.
But you know how you could just sense something like that, like you did.
Yeah.
You just know. They don't need to say anything. They don't need to look at you. You just have a sixth sense for it. If you've had the experience with loneliness, you don't need someone to explain it to you. You could just see it in another man or a woman. And I saw it in him, but I just thought, you know what? He's got too much going for him. It can't be that serious. And he's gone now. You know,
Mm.
it's the loneliness hits everybody from the top down. If it, you know, everybody is human.
Yep.
And the thing, like I said, what I was typing, you know, while I'm lit up right now, is that genuine conversation with no walls up is really lacking right now in society. People don't get there unless they are lit up or something, you know, and then they're with the right people, obviously, you know what I mean. And that's why I jumped on, because I was like, this is deep conversation. This is good stuff. You know, not a lot of people are on right now, but people be getting on to watch the recording or something. Maybe they can get something out of this. But loneliness isn't, it's something everyone's going to experience, but it don't have to take it as a bad thing. You can take it as an opportunity to get to know who you are, because there's one person you can't get away from, no matter how hard you try, and it's you.
Yep.
So if you take that opportunity to accept the loneliness for what it is, and you fill it with whatever it is that you need to fill it with. For me, it was nature, traveling, books, that kind of stuff.
Zip zip.
Yeah, it wasn't lonely for that one. And that's a pay-per-view or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Those, I forgot. It starts with a P anyway. But so, but then you actually become a better human being when you get out on the other end, and you will get to the other end as long as you don't give up on yourself. And I know people. I mean, I have family members. My uncle committed suicide, so I'm very familiar with it. You know, and if you can get through, and I had my other uncle try to commit suicide and it didn't work, but because it didn't work, he actually pulled through and he's a better man now. Not because he tried to kill himself, but because it brought him to that point. You know, I
He had
personally
to
think,
face that. Whatever it was, he
Mhm.
had to face it because he failed.
right. I don't want anyone to ever have to hit rock bottom. But if there's one thing I've known from experience, not just with myself, but seeing it with my homies and stuff over the decades. You know, I'm 49 years old now, and that is that loneliness doesn't have to be the end of all. It's going to happen, and I don't want anyone to have to hit rock bottom. But some of us old dogs need to hit rock bottom to change. You know, I know I was one of them. There's no way I would change who I used to be in my teens and 20s. You know who that was. You
Yes,
do.
sir. Yes, sir.
But if I didn't hit rock bottom, I wouldn't be, where I'm at today. You know,
Would you
and
say? Would you say
not that
that?
I'm saying it has to be, but some of us old dogs need that. Unfortunately, like me, I'm only speaking for myself. But I can. But what my point is that if anyone's feeling that lonely, where they're to the point where they want to just end it all, uh, think twice about that, because you're, I think, at a golden opportunity to become something greater.
Would you say the trial and going through that gauntlet, so to speak, is the way to greatness, right? But I think the most men
Can be.
say again.
I said it can be. But like I said, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, you know, to have to go through what some people go through. And I'm not saying what I went through is anything like what a lot of other people go through. I mean, if we look around the world, look at what's happening. There's kids out there
Yeah.
that, it's one thing, and I'm not trying to knock and undermine people that in our country, like these kids with social media, and there's what would you say the percentage was of loneliness? 80%, something like that, or crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
63% of dudes.
right. And you got people out there who have no home. Their parents were
Nope.
killed.
Yeah.
There's war. There's all those things. And I'm not saying I'm comparing. I'm speaking just, when I say you, I'm not saying you or anyone in particular in the audience, but I'm not comparing what your loneliness is compared to what they're going through. But all I'm saying is try to gauge where you're at by comparing yourself to what's going on in the rest of the world, and then find things that you can be grateful for, because those are the little foundation nuggets that you need to start rebuilding yourself. You know what I mean?
I do, bro. Because I can remember when you was going through that rough patch with the house and everything else.
Oh
Because we're
man,
like,
that's another one.
yeah,
Actually, that hit me the same time as the other stuff,
did it.
on top of more stuff, but I'm not going to go there. That's also pay-per-view.
Right.
Let me
But
get some more diesel.
yeah, and the thing was like Rook was going through it. And it was like it was what it was, but Rook and I, Rook was like, "Hey man, I want to fix, I'm gonna make a pergola and I'm gonna change this room into that room." And I'm like, "Bro, I got you." So you got when
Yeah,
we got friends who like, man, I'm like, "Bro, I'm come out there. I don't know what I'm doing, but
yeah, you came right over swinging a hammer. I remember that. He's talking about my first house that I bought way back in the day.
yeah,
You know, and that was actually in the midst of a lot of shit that was going on.
a
And
lot.
DL showed up, got blisters all over his hands.
Sure
I
did. Left
remember
my
that.
boots out there. Like, leave my boots here, man. I'm gonna come back and put them on.
Yeah,
But
man, I appreciate it.
But you see that smile, and this is why, this is why I think this loneliness epidemic or whatever it is something that we can fix, because Rook is my brother. You know what I mean? And it's like we got associates, we got people who are like the so-called friends. But I know hey, Rook, I need you out here tomorrow. I know he'll move mountains to get here. And the same thing for me was like, hey man, I need you out here. All right, here I come. If I gotta drive I'll get in my car and just drive to get there.
Mhm.
How many people got that? And these dudes who don't have that.
Some people don't have that. And these younger guys, I think, need mentors, like
Yes.
real men mentors. You know what I mean? Because they do need somebody to tell them, look, life ain't roses. Someone has to tell them that. But they don't need to tell them like life ain't roses. So you need to be an asshole and treat people like shit and this, that, and the other and act alpha. They need to just tell you life ain't roses and here's how I dealt with it. You're going to have to deal with it your own way. But I'm going to give you some of my life experiences so that you got some of the tools you're going to need when that time comes, because it will.
Yes.
It's going to come in one way or another, whether it, it doesn't have to be war or losing your parents or anything. Like I said, I don't gauge loneliness on a scale. Loneliness for the individual can be just as severe for someone in this country as it can be for somebody in Afghanistan or somewhere.
Yeah.
For the individual, and a lot of that has to do with people have different realms of experience from which they can tap to gauge what they feel is their own loneliness.
Yeah, because
You know
I
what I
think
mean?
about our crew. You think about our crew, we do things alone, but we'll
Mhm.
come together, like our buddy
Mhm.
Howie. How he likes to use his alias. He
Howie.
don't want to use, he wants to use the
Yeah, I
alias.
know what you're talking about. Yeah,
But
he's the one
he'll
that tried
go
to
out.
one up me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was so funny, bro. But he'll go out and do his things on
Mhm.
his own. And
All the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
And then we'll call up, hey man, we getting together, we doing this, and boom, Johnny on the spot, all of us.
Yeah.
So
Every
this
time.
I actually recharge my batteries when I'm alone. I welcome
So,
that time to get
mhm.
my head right. To if you can't sit with yourself, how the hell can you sit with anybody else?
Exactly. And if you don't know yourself, how can you talk to anyone else? That includes women.
And yes, absolutely includes women. So I enjoy that time. I've been doing that since I was a child. I was the only child, latchkey kid. We know what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Key around my
ex-gen
neck.
latchkey, so am I.
See?
Yeah.
And I would come home and I would lock myself in the house, and that was it. I couldn't go outside. Now, I had cartoons or whatever, but a lot of times I would just sit there and it would be me with my thoughts. And I carried that with me as a grown up. So when I came to Van Nuys, when I first started, it's before I met you, bro, I ain't
Mhm.
had no money. I was broke. People had like Kathy, shout out to Kathy. People had to like Cliff. They
Mhm.
had to come and help me out, bro. But you know
Yeah.
what? That little bit, that would have made a lot of people just crack. But I was already used to being by myself. I'm sitting there chilling, like, man, I got a job. I wasn't looking at the bad stuff. Man, I
Yeah.
don't have any money and I had to rely on these people to help me out. I'm sitting there like, bro, I'm starting a career. I got a career now. I'm out of the
That's
streets.
yeah, you're exactly what I was saying. You're looking for the positives in the midst of your loneliness and you're down, and when you're down, you look for the positives. You have to learn to, people have to learn to be able to do that. Um, and really in this day and age, you got to put your phone down to do that, or,
Yes.
or close your laptop or whatever. Your old school PC, like I use Windows 7 and shit.
You still got Windows 7.
Yeah, I do. Hey, it
You probably
works.
did you log on to American Online to get to this? You know what I mean? Like
I
American
do have
Online.
an AOL fucking email still.
You still got that. Bro, that's crazy, man. But this is
Yeah.
serious talk, man. I don't know who needs to hear this, man, and I don't know who's gonna watch this on team replay. But I really hope it can help, like especially guys. I tell dudes all the time. I tell the Knights when the Knights come together. I say, listen, man, life is hard and life hurts. You know what I mean? So just prepare yourself, gentlemen. It's coming.
Yeah,
And
you're gonna have good times too.
yes,
It's just like an obstacle course. That's life. You know what I mean? And you should accept the challenge.
you should.
You fall down, you get back up. That old saying.
Yep.
I mean, that came from somewhere. And do the one thing that you do when you're lonely is you find what impassions you,
Mm.
whatever it is, and then you pursue it like an animal.
And
You
for
know,
you, it
you
was
just go
travel
all
and,
in.
and being in nature.
Yeah, for me, it's simple things really. It's travel, nature, books, that kind of stuff. And you'll find, when you go after something that you're really passionate about, and I'm not talking about women, I'm just talking about for you. And there's no complications with nature. There's no complications with books, even if they're complicated to read, maybe some of the more, like nonfiction stuff or whatever. There's really no complications with travel. You might run into problems trying to get a visa in Jordan or something like that.
But you'll figure it out.
But you know what you're getting the whole time is you're getting experiences that make you more than you were. Like you've been with me, we've gone to Trocaderos, or we've been to many places, and I'll just sit down and I don't try to engage a conversation unless I see someone that's genuine that I want to engage a conversation with. I don't feel any pressure to perform, you know what I mean? Because I'm so comfortable with who I am that I can walk into any situation. And if I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I'll leave. Uh, but, and people gravitate towards that. And then once they start talking to you, and you've seen it yourself in person with me talking to even women at like that one Spanish lady at Trocaderos at one time. I'm not trying to impress or anything like that. And you'll notice that that's the first thing they usually try to do is they try to not impress you, but they try to knock you down.
Yep.
They're usually fast talkers, try to have a quick wit, try to test in your defense systems. Well, then when they realize there are no defense systems because you don't need them, and then and you respond and just genuinely and just ignoring all the fluff that's going on, you watch every time. You've seen it. They slowly start, they start dropping their guards, and you see the real them, and then you can actually have a real conversation.
That's a fact. That's fucking fact, yo. And this is what I try to tell these young men and some of the old men, because a lot of old dudes out here don't know this. And it goes back to what you're saying. You can only get to the place that you're talking about if you know yourself.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. Loneliness can be a real good tool for a lot of these guys. But unfortunately, a lot of people are too plugged in. They got to unplug from the internet or whatever you call it. So, I mean,
Yeah, the
you
internet.
you gotta put the phone down.
Yes.
I have a real pet peeve when I'm sitting having drinks or dinner or something with somebody, dude or a woman or group or whatever it is. If I even see their phone, they immediately my respect for them immediately starts to decline through the conversation because I don't feel I got their attention, and I don't feel they're into their own selves. They got to be plugged in all the time. You'll never see my phone if I'm talking to you. You'll
That's
never
true.
even see it. I won't even put it on the table face down. I don't give a shit. You're not going to see my phone because this isn't the time for a phone. I'm actually sitting in front of another human being. I want to know what their experiences are. I want to know how they feel. What are their desires in life? Do they got goals? How did they get to where they're at now? What are their travails? What are their successes? What do you call the W's and the L's?
W's and the
I mean,
L's, baby.
I'm interested. And it's not just that I'm interested because I genuinely, and I want to know about other people because I'm a humanist. But also by hearing stories from other people, it also makes me grow. Because I might hear something I never heard before, and I'll be like, and it might change the way I think. That happened with a good friend of mine, Craig, who just passed away in February. I've lost 7 friends in the past 6 years, and yeah, some of them to gunshots, some of them to suicide, some of them just got old. And you know what? I'm happy because I talked to every single one of them, just like how we're doing now. That's why I jumped on. I was like, oh, I could tell this would be a good conversation.
It's a great
So
conversation.
I don't have any regrets. Of course, I miss them. I'm sad for their loss. Some of them were tragic, but I took every opportunity where I hung out with them to have a genuine conversation. Like those Wild West barbecues I do every once in a while.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
won't give too much information on those, but it's pretty carnal and raw. Kind of get out in the desert, you know, whiskey and bonfires, stuff like that, you know, just kind of living like cavemen. But I'll tell
And
you
it,
what, at the end of the day, we're all sitting around that campfire, and you know, alcohol does drop a lot of men's guards, and
mhm.
we start having real talk. It starts out with pussy this, bitches that, you know, that kind of
Right,
stuff.
right.
But once we get through the bullshit, people start doing real talk, and then we leave, and we're closer as friends, and I think a little bit better as human beings.
Y'all
You
need
know,
to
I
know.
went.
I was
Go
gonna say
ahead.
they need to know something about me, about Rook and I. Right? Y'all see how big Rook is. Rook had me damn near that big. I was so big, in fact. He was talking about that time. One of the times we was in Hollywood. I'm walking up to Rook and he see me coming.
I remember that. I All right, so you know, I'm 6'4", 250, and Don, you're like what, 6'2", 6'1", around there,
Six, yeah, my six, little over 6 feet. Yeah.
and you were up to like what, 215 or something.
Yeah,
So he was working
225.
out
I
with
was
me
just
for
225 at that point.
225. So he was working out with me for a while, and he got pretty big. And I remember walking down. Was that Sunset?
Yeah, it was on Sunset.
Sunset Boulevard, and I saw this big black dude walking down. And I'm like, oh fuck, you know, like in Hollywood, you never know what's going to happen. You see a big dude. I'm not saying black dude. Hey, whoa, stop it, internet, with your bullshit. But I see a big dude, and I'm like, every time, you know, it's gonna be squaring up. And I got closer, and it was you. I was like, oh goddamn. I was like, shit.
About to beat up my homeboy. I'm like,
Hey,
Rook.
I heard you're gonna start doing training soon.
Yes, I gotta doing it for the internets. I got I doubt if I get as big as you had me, man. I still never recovered. You know, this is still messed up. But
All right.
I got a trainer, female, very beautiful. Her body is sculpted, man. I think she competes. And
Mhm.
she's gonna do, I'm not gonna be drinking for 3 months, no sugar. But yeah,
Sorry.
I was like, it's right.
Really?
It's gonna be tough. Yes, it's gonna be tough. No alcohol for
Okay.
3 months,
All right.
no sugar. Like no, you know me and my sugar, bro. Like no
Mhm.
soda, no Kool-Aid, none of that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have box meals. Like she's doing everything you was doing, like everything she was telling me you have told me in the past. That's why like I'm gonna work with you because she sounds just like you. And I'm gonna work out with her twice a week, and I'm gonna work out on my own at least once. I'm gonna do 3 times a week. Rook had me in the gym really like 5 days a week.
Yeah.
It would be like 3 days a week. But
Yeah.
when we were working out, bro, this is
Mhm.
what I want people to understand. This is why I say it's so important for men to fellowship. When we were working out, it was those walks, bro. We would hit the gym, we would work out for an hour, hour and a half sometimes, and then we would just walk for hour,
Remember,
like two
one
hours.
of the one of the elements of those walks was our conversations.
Yes, and that's what it was. That was for me. That was the best part of those walks. Yeah, we know we were. It was part of the cool down and cardio and this and that. I didn't care about that.
Yeah,
I'm
but where did I always take it? I always took it
bro,
to genuine conversation every time.
genuine conversation every
And,
time, every single
I don't
time.
know if you want to share any of them, but so I won't bring them up. But we had some good talks. That's why we walked so damn much.
Yeah,
I wasn't done talking to you. I wasn't done asking questions. You know what I
man, we
mean?
walked
Next thing you
miles
know,
and
we're doing
miles and
5
miles.
miles, 6 miles, 7 miles in Studio City. I was like, damn, we in Burbank? You know, that
Yes,
kind of
we
thing.
walked the Burbank, bro. I was living. That's when I was living on Laurel Canyon. That one time we walked from
Oh,
Laurel
yeah.
Canyon all the way to Coldwater Canyon. Remember, we cut
Mhm.
through the
Yeah,
hills
I remember that, and back. And we
and
came back
back.
in the neighborhoods.
Came back on
I
the
remember
streets.
right.
Came down. Yep, we came down Ventura. We went up the
Yeah.
canyons and came back Ventura. But the,
Mhm.
the thing was those conversations, man. Like there's people ask me, like, well, why are you and Rook so close? Like people I work with. I'm like, man, it's just the conversations and the time we spent together. Like just walking, talking, like
Mhm.
seeing you'll be amazed at the life that goes on when you just walking around looking at shit. Remember that time we was going by the
Yeah.
bowling alley and they was like shooting a movie or some shit?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I think we were at the bowling alley, and who's that country singer and his daughter? Um, I'm not good with the names. My whole family's in my
Hannah
family's been
something?
in
Was it
Hollywood
Hannah
since the
something?
20s, but
I
I
think it
don't
was
keep
Hannah
up with.
something.
Um, it was who cares? Any rate, yeah,
It
we
was
saw a lot of stuff. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
All kind of craziness. Then when we go out at night, we would get into all kind of craziness. Rook would come to my comedy shows. He'll get picked on, sit up front, like
I
don't
was
bully.
there at the Comedy Store with you that night. who's the Seinfeld guy went over to Laugh Factory. He
Uh,
walked right
uh,
by us. Remember that?
yeah, you
That
went to
was the
see him, right?
night he went on
Yes.
his racist tirade. He walked
Yes.
right by me, and remember I told you, I was like, that dude's not happy because he bombed at Comedy Store. He
All
went over
week.
there and let his real self out.
He bombed
That's not the
all
kind
week.
of real
Richards, Michael
talk
Richards.
anybody needs to be hearing.
Yeah, Michael Richards. That was Michael
Yeah.
Richards. And
What was his
people
name on that show?
Kramer.
Kramer. Yeah,
It was
Kramer.
Michael that was and people know him from that show. People know about that video, but at the Laugh Factory, but they don't realize. And I've told the story on this platform that began at the Comedy Store.
Yeah, it started at Comedy Store. I remember he bombed big time. He was very upset. He was even talking to himself when he walked by us. But yeah, I mean, I had real conversations with Maz Jabrani.
Yep,
Remember
Maz is a
that?
good guy. Maz is a good guy.
He's sitting and talking to me, and he's trying to do his, kind of joking around with me, and I just cut through his bullshit. Remember that? And I was
Yep.
telling him, yeah, I've been to Iran, been to Syria. And he was like, what the fuck were you doing there? I just told him, I was like, I just wanted to see the world. And he dropped everything, remember? And we started having real conversation with Maz Jabrani.
Like you guys look up Maz Jabrani. Maz, he's a top tier comedian. He was in the Friday After Next. He was the buddy guy. People know him from that. He's done a ton of TV, ton of movies. And like you said, Maz, like you said, people have defenses. Maz
Yeah.
Jabrani is famous. So he keeps that defense mechanism in play. But the
Mhm.
moment Rook tore through that with just realism. Like, nah, bro. Like, no.
And that's kind of the thing is it doesn't matter who it is. If it's the hottest woman you've ever seen, or a senator, uh, top tier comedian, or some Hollywood somebody, or some schmo on the street. Everybody's got defenses up, and they have different tactics for how they do it. They're either real loud, and kind of boisterous in your face, like I'm raw, I'm blunt, this, that, and other. Okay, and or they have another one. They just joke all the time. Everything's a joke. Everything's a joke. Or they're so serious, or they're just quiet. But they're all facades because they've been betrayed, they've been hurt through their lives to the point where that's where they got to be because they just expect bullshit, and I
Yeah.
don't blame them. I expect bullshit too, but the difference is I know it's bullshit.
Right.
So I just wait for the real you behind it. That's why none of that stuff phases me, and I just keep talking normal talk, even when they're still doing all the other stuff. And it doesn't work with everybody. Some people just don't drop their guard. In fact, some of them will intensify it. Those are the ones you walk away from.
Yeah.
But I would say 75%. It's just a random statistic.
Just making up numbers. That's what I always say. I'm just making up numbers
75%,
here.
75%, let's say, will drop their guard, and you get to see the real them. And now you got somebody who respects you, and you got a friend. That's how you make friends, really. You make friends by being genuine, and you stick to it, and you don't feel like you need to defend yourself. You don't feel like you need to prove yourself. You don't feel like you need to be someone you're not. And that's how real friendships are forged.
That's true. And when you're not yourself, you feel bad. You feel like shit. Just like I feel like shit tonight.
Yeah,
I
but
am
you know what,
accountable.
you were saying universe is going to get you karma, this, that, and other. Universe is going to give you another opportunity now because you learned. I mean, the fact that you're acknowledging is huge, and you're going to have another opportunity. I guarantee you. I mean, with statistics like what you were saying, you're going to come across someone else that's like that. You don't know if it's going to be another Sam Sarpong. You think he's got the world, and next thing you know, he's jumping off a bridge.
Right.
It's one of those things where you just got to treat everybody like you don't know their story. Nobody knows each other's stories, but I guarantee you, everybody's got a story. And some of them you'd be like, damn. And from the most unsuspecting people too.
Yeah.
Usually the ones that are the most quiet and seem like everything's going good. Those are the ones that got they got some stories.
They got some them to be ones. You're right. You're
Break
right.
your heart kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
And
So
it's
people
good.
just need to be real. They don't have to act tough. They don't have to act this, that, or the other. They don't need to follow a list of things that they need to do to get a woman, or a list of things they need to do to get a friend, or a list of things they need to do to this, that, and the. You just got to learn to know yourself first, because once you do that, then you can start doing all these other things. You know what I'm saying? And I
I
think
live.
loneliness is a good starting point.
It's a great starting point. And I learned. I use Sun Tzu. Know yourself, know your enemy. And again, I'm not saying that everyone's the enemy, but when I read The Art of War, the first 2 translations,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like blown away. But how can you possibly win if you don't know yourself, right? And you
Yeah.
don't know your enemy. You don't know, and the enemy in this case being what it is you're trying to do, what it is you're trying to accomplish, who you're trying to get to know, right? If like Rook said, he can't begin to get to know you if you got your bullshit guard up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you look in history, I mean, I got The Art of War on my bookshelf behind me. I got all
Me
the
too.
lights off, so you don't see how fucking dirty my place is. But you know, uh, but a lot of small armies have defeated bigger armies. Is because they knew the other army as much as they knew themselves. So they knew what they were capable of, and because they knew the other side, they knew how to take advantage of things that they would expect them to do, how they would behave. Alexander of Macedon was exactly that.
Is that how he took that's how he took Persia? That's how he did his thing?
Yeah, actually, I mean, he might have lost the first skirmish at the Battle of Gaugamela, but he had historians to rewrite that. But at any rate, I'm not going to do a history lesson here today, or tonight. But yeah, you got to know yourself first, and then you know how to know other people, even through their facades. You can see right through them like a veil.
Like a damn window. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You see, it's sad too. And the people with the biggest
It is.
defense mechanisms are the people who have the most folks around them. It's kind of like that being alone while surrounded by people. Tonight,
Mhm.
that's just what there's been. I was driving home and I'm just, this guy turns out I don't know if you hear that part of the story. I was
Mhm.
asking my friend about it, the bartender. He comes from a wealthy family, bro. His family owns one of the biggest car dealerships in the country. Like, so this dude is papered up. You know what I mean? He's not worried about nothing. She was like, yeah, he was just following the Grateful Dead around for the past, I don't know, 6 months or something. And now he's back. He does whatever he wants to do when he
One
wants
of
to
them
do it.
parking lots, the parking lot things with the Grateful Dead. Yeah, I've been to one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. But my thing is, how can you be such a lonely person when you apparently have the whole world? And then you answered it for me already when you talked about your man.
Sam Sarpong.
Your man had
Yeah.
everything.
He's one of many that, I could talk. I just said him because everyone probably knows who he is, or they could look him up. Yeah, so you never know. You never know. If you see someone that's lonely, don't be a dick. You don't have to talk to him, but don't be a dick. But maybe take the opportunity, because you might grow from the experience.
Yes.
If nothing else, do it selfishly if you got to be that way. But I think one of the great things about being genuine is that 2 people grow from that meeting.
That is a fact, bro. I remember 4 or 5 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, there was a festival, right? It was like salsa, merengue, bachata. They do it twice a year. They do it in St. Pete. They shut down the streets. Like, it's a big festival, right? So I went. My friends invited me. You know, my salsa skills aren't that good. They're like damn near pros. But I went. And you know me, I'm always moving about. I'm with a couple groups of folks, but I'm moving. I'm always moving on my own. I'm watching what's going on around me. And I see this guy. It's funny.
Mhm.
I just thought about the story. I see this guy, and same thing. I can look at the guy, see him a few feet away from me, and I knew there's something going on with this dude right here, right? Something going on with him, and we made eye contact. And I ain't gonna lie, I was like, damn, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie,
Yeah,
but
I've been there.
right. So he came
That
over.
was a New York subway. I think it was the L train, but anyway.
So dude came over to me, started talking. Turns out, you know, he had a bad relationship with this woman. I mean, you know, it's the standard real bad stuff, right? Like, she was living with him. She made false accusations to the police. He had to leave his
Yeah.
house for a while. It took a lot of money. Well, no, she messed up his credit because she was supposed to pay the lease and all that and did it. And all this, the typical, all this bad
Mhm.
stuff. You could tell he still loves this woman. And
Yeah.
he's like, he forced himself to come out. And he was just like, man, I just, like you said, I needed to be around people. I just couldn't sit at home. I was having
Yeah.
dark thoughts. And I was like, man, it's cool, bro. I gave you my number. I said, hey man, here's my number. He's like, what's your name? I was like, I said, my name's DL, my name's Don, but they call me Saint. And he stopped and he looked at me, he was like, that's because you are. So in his mind, I don't know what I stopped him from doing. But he and I reached out to him, and he's a musician, and he also does, like, he has a corporate job and all that out of Miami. He was like, I'm from Miami. I'm like, yo, bro, I'll be in Miami all the time, blah, blah, blah. We talking it up. Gave my number. And then he'll hit me up randomly. Hey man, I'm doing a show over here. If you want to come by, I'll come support, come see him play. Little hole in the wall joints. I ain't scared of that. And he'll like I told him to come to the salsa spot to dance or whatever. I only seen the man a handful of times, but that interaction, maybe it stopped him from doing something.
Yeah, you don't know. You never know. And it probably more often than people realize. I mean, you gave a statistic on suicides. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was like for every one woman, it's like 4 dudes.
4 guys, yeah.
4, that's insane, bro.
I mean, that's just tragic.
It is tragic, man. And I think so many people want to just give up. And I get it. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I'm not built that way. I doubt if I would do something to myself, probably do something to somebody else before I did something to myself. But I get it though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Dark thoughts are dark thoughts, no matter what form they come in. You don't want to hurt anyone. You don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to hurt other people. You don't want to hurt animals. You don't want to hurt anyone. And but in loneliness, if you don't know how to handle it, it manifests in such a way that you're going to lash out, possibly.
Yeah. Too many people are too tuned into that online thing again. I think that might have a lot to do with that crazy statistic.
Yeah.
I mean, really, when you think about it, with all the excitement and all the stuff, I mean, you get on TikTok, I've seen people scroll and scroll and scroll for an hour or
it's
more.
Mindless. It's
It
mindless.
is completely mindless. They don't even remember three scrolls back what they just watched. And now you just wasted an hour of your life that you could have used bettering yourself, doing something better. They're just watching all these. I mean, I know like some of this stuff, they show a lot of negative things on there. There's a lot of, political views on like TikTok, and people talking about, this view or that view. And they want to have a conversation. And you look at the comments and it's just fuming with hatred and defense and offense. And that's not a conversation. The conversation is a face-to-face thing. But they need to unplug from all that negative, and they need to unplug from all the hype of like, look at me in my car, look at me in my flashing their money, and check out my mansion, or this, that, and the other, and just unplug for a while and just start looking at their own life for a while. And then what they'll find, I think, is when they come back to that, they're going to just see how vacuous it is and just be completely disinterested. I'm completely disinterested by TikTok and Instagram, and that's why I don't have social media except for my YouTube. And if you go to my YouTube, it's not like other YouTube channels. It's I share what knowledge I've been able to gather in my decades, and I regurgitate it for others for free in memory of my friend Craig, who passed away in February.
Which is vast knowledge, by the way, people. Like I said, this man right here done rode a
I don't
motorcycle
know about
across
that,
Vietnam.
but
Come on now. You rode a motorcycle across a Golden Triangle now. Come on.
but what I'm saying is that I'm taking the platform and I'm using it to freely share knowledge at a level that most people don't have the opportunity to go to university to get this kind of stuff. If you look at the comments on my the lectures, I'm literally making lectures on there. They're grateful for them. And I'm not saying I'm giving them everything and I'm the best lecturer or whatever. I'm just saying one thing that my friend Craig, so what was it, 30 some years ago, I started out as an auto mechanic, and I took a class at the local community college in their shop department to learn how to work on automatic transmissions and manual transmissions. And one of the things we do beyond books is people would bring in their vehicles and we'd work on their vehicles. That's how we learn beyond the books.
Didn't they have that shop class in high school? And when that shop?
Yeah, those days are gone now. I don't think they have shop classes, but I mean, I had shop classes in high school. But this was, you know, I was 19 at the time, or 20, something like that. And this guy Craig, he's an older guy. He's like, at that time, he might have been in his shit. You might have been my age, what I'm at now. But he came in with his truck. I got assigned his truck. I worked on his transmission, this, that, and the other. And, you know, we were talking this, that, and he was like, I'm a professor here. I teach this in, you know, science class. Why don't you sign up? And I laughed. But you know what? To be genuine, I laughed because that was a nervous laugh, because inside I was intimidated. I was like, I'm not cut out for academics. No way. I mean, you know, I played sports in high school. I didn't give a shit about academics, none of that kind of stuff. But I enrolled, and it changed my life. We ended up becoming really good friends, and I'd even go so far as to say he was a mentor to me. So his loss in February was pretty deeply felt. But one thing he told me was that he would teach for free because he found genuine reward in seeing how he could change people's lives by opening that door. Everybody can learn, everybody can change, everyone can be who they want to be without having to get advice from the internet or following some kind of game plan, you know, thing like that. Because everyone's game plan is going to be different. Once you get to know yourself, you may find that you have a different game plan. Make your own, but you got to get to know yourself first. But he found genuine reward in this. And he, you know, he took some of these kids that he had in his class. I've seen, because I've known him for 30 years. Um, some of them are very successful now. You know, these are kids that if they didn't have a professor like him, who knows where they'd be at today. But because of him opening that door and giving them that inspiration and confidence in themselves, and knowing failures are okay, because you learn, sometimes I think you learn more from your failures than you do from your wins.
Most of the time.
And then they go on, and some of them are doctors, some of them professors, some of them work at NASA.
Wow.
These are the type of kids that be working at, I'm going to date myself, but like at Circuit City or some shit, you know what I mean? Or Federation.
Yeah, you dating yourself now, bro. Like, damn, did they used to have stones and chisels? Is that how y'all wrote back in the
Yeah,
day?
stone, you know, those stone carvers make those Cycladic fucking things, you know, with marble. I think they still do that in West Virginia. You
Yeah,
know
they
where
do.
they invented the toothbrush, right?
Where?
West Virginia.
I didn't know that. Is that for the clearing out the stone, the loose
Yeah,
stone?
because if they invented it anywhere else, it'd be called a teeth brush.
Facts. I used
That's
to
my
have that
dad
button. I
joke.
used to have that doom doom button, but I don't have it anymore. That was funny though, but they were called.
Wah, wah. You got to have that sound effect.
I'm out there. Yeah, I got one more channel. I got the 1, 2, 3. I got 4 more sounds I could put in there. That's definitely gonna be one of those sound
Did you
effects.
get the lavalier mics?
Yes, sir. Yes, I thought I meant to send you a picture. I think I sent you a text. I told you I got them.
I haven't. See, that's the thing. I didn't check my phone.
Yeah, I think I told you. But and
You know that.
if I didn't, I will send you one. I'm gonna send you pictures. I got them, man. They just clip on. I might have
Yeah,
to test them on this platform because I want to see if they work. So I'm gonna figure out how to link them up to this and just test them. And
right.
that way I don't have to wear these big things. I can just have this, have this on.
Yeah,
And
be nice and clean. Yeah.
yeah. So man, this is some good shit. You're right though, bro. And it's crazy. We got to get lit to come on here and have a real talk. But what your friend was doing, I have this story. I don't know if I ever told you this. I may have. All the hours we spent talking, I may have told you this. One of the things I want to do before I die is I want to set up an award for teachers, counselors, anyone who works with kids. And the award is going to be called the Rebecca C. Webb Award of Excellence. And it's going to include like a trip. Like, the students are going to be the ones who vote. The students are going to have to convince the judges that this teacher deserves it. And, just kind of come in, give the award, and then whisk the teacher off with their family or his family off to some retreat for a week or something where they just get to hang out and have a vacation for a week. That's what I want to do. Right. And I'm getting close. The reason I want to do it, Rebecca C. Webb, she was a counselor in my high school.
Okay.
My junior and senior year. We wanted a fraternity style organization you know what I mean, like the alphas or the Q dogs or whatever, because that was like the big School Days was like the big movie and everybody wanted, kids. You want to talk about dating yourself. I'm saying, you know what I mean? We wanted this, right? But the school was absolutely against it. No, we're not going to do that. It's a rule. She needed kids in her organization. The name of her organization was Jobs for Ohio Grads and Jobs for Cincinnati Grads. Their program was a before and after school program that taught kids, us, how to interview, how to write resumes, how to give speeches, all this kind of things, right? So she's like, look, I need you kids to be in my program, and y'all want a fraternity and a sorority. So she was the woman who taught me the importance of networking, and she's the woman who taught me how to shake hands. Those are two things she did for me. She did a lot of other stuff, but those two things is what led me to air traffic, led me to California, where I met you, Howie, Dave, the whole crew, like, we legends that we've known since we were out there, and all it. I cannot thank her enough, because I don't even think she realizes what she did for me. And it wasn't just me. It was about 100 of us.
But if we realize how things that seem small and insignificant, those kind of actions can change the trajectory of a young kid's life. And if we, that kind of a story is perfect, because as adults, we should take that as a nugget of golden knowledge, so that we can be like, you know what, I might do something small for this kid, show him how to do this, that, or other, because it might change his or her life. I don't know.
It might.
But if you got that opportunity as an adult, a responsible adult that cares about the next generation, take the opportunity. Because learning how to shake a hand, look somebody in the eye when you're talking to them. Public speaking, that's a big one too. Writing a resume. I don't think people balance checkbooks anymore, but balancing a checkbook back in the day.
Hell no, he don't do that.
But all that kind of stuff can really change somebody's life, and you don't know. And you know what? In those years, up until a certain age, you are a sponge for everything. And things are
the good and
amplified.
bad. The good and the bad.
Everything's amplified because time moves slower. Psychologically, it does move slower for younger people. That's been shown in plenty of social, those kinds of studies.
Yeah.
If you think about it, childhood felt like forever.
Didn't it?
And I was 40 yesterday, and now I'm about to turn 50, and I'll be 60 tomorrow. You know what I mean? So
by the
kids,
time you hit 60, I'll be 70. So you need to slow down, Rook. I ain't trying to get old.
well, we take life in like these huge chunks of like weeks and months, but as kids take it minute by minute by minute, and 1 minute can change their life. 1 minute can change anyone's life if they slow down enough.
You should. That's a book.
That's a great story.
That's your title right there. That's a book, minute by minute.
Yeah,
that's a book right there.
We should relearn how to do that.
Yeah. With Rebecca Sewell, what she did, and here's the thing: she was fresh out of college. She looked very young. She was Latina. She looked young. All the dudes had a crush on. We thought she was a student when we first saw her walking around. She had on jeans and a sweatshirt, a sweatshirt. It was like, yo, y'all see that new student? Turned out that was Mrs. Webb. We were like, oh man. But you know what I mean? She was a small person in stature, but she was the biggest woman on campus, bro. She ruled us. She kept us in line. She kept us straight. And she did it by doing what you was talking about here tonight. She kept it 100. She's like, I don't want to hear your bullshit. We were like, you ain't supposed to curse. Like, she was like, shut up.
Water off a duck's back.
Yeah, like she like the way y'all talk around here. You talking about everybody just sat down like, man, but we can't do nothing with this woman, feisty Latina.
She saw through all the bullshit. She saw potential in all you kids.
Yes, and she got the potential
in
out
everyone
of us.
I meet up to a point.
Up to a point.
They keep talking, and then I say, "Oh, you got no potential," but I'll tell myself that. But I think everybody has it. That's the one thing I approach people. Is I just assume that they got potential to be someone that I can learn from. You know what I mean?
And the stuff that we've done. You remember we did that? You were doing the a self tape for something. Someone wanted you to play a role or something.
I remember that. Yeah, that was like 2012 or something like that.
Yeah, and it was
that was for a horror flick.
Yeah,
They
and I
wanted me
was,
to be the mass killer.
hey, bro, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I don't know if you still got that self tape. That shit was good. Then you added
Yeah,
the
I got
music
it
to it.
somewhere. It's
Man,
on this
send that shit
Windows
to me.
7 drive somewhere. I'll play it on Windows Media for you.
You got it on the reel to reel.
Yeah. Super 8.
Super 8. Bro, but that was fun. And again, this is, you never know what life's gonna throw you. I was over Rook's house I don't even know why I was over there. I was over there for something. You might have told me to come over so you can show it to me. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, I think we could get more. I became the director.
Yeah, you were directing it. Yeah, and
And
kind of producing too. I mean,
man,
you're
that
like, I
came
think
out.
you should do this. You're blocking. I think you and Howie were blocking.
Yep. Yep.
Here's tape on the the whole thing. That was fun.
That was
But
fun.
you know what? You can't have all these different kinds of experiences if you're not genuine, because you're not going to meet genuine people. If you don't meet genuine people, it's going to be, every day is going to be the same for you. Every
Yep.
day, I guarantee you, a lot of people watching this, tomorrow will be like today, and today was probably like yesterday. So there's got to be a point where you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, because you really know it's going to be different. And once you get to that point, uh, life actually does slow down for you, and you absorb that minute by minute stuff again.
No, that's a
And then
fact.
you're just levels above everyone else around you. But you don't act that way because you don't need to. And your only desire at that point is to get them where you're at, so that you can have more friends around you that are where you're at.
That's
But
facts.
it comes back
'Cause
down to
I
genuine
never
stuff.
know where I'm gonna be, bro. To this day, only time I know what I'm gonna do is when school starts, and I know I gotta get my daughter to school.
Oh yeah, as a parent, of course, yeah.
But
But
in
you're always
life,
doing something every
yes,
day, doing something different,
always something
you
comes
know.
up. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm gonna meet, what that's gonna lead to. I
Yeah.
find myself in situations all the time. Like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
You know?
Keep your good habits, break your bad habits, and replace them with something different every day. Change is good. Change is real good.
Would you recommend that people read more? Rook?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, depends what you're reading. But yeah, um, for sure. Yeah, I mean, uh, I went through a whole phase where I was like, I would never read fiction. I was reading nonfiction, manuals, that kind of stuff, because I felt like that's knowledge. This is this is tangible knowledge. This is what I want in my brain. I ain't got time for all that fiction crap. It's just made up. But I've learned since that reading fiction is just as fulfilling in a different way. It fulfills your humanity if it's a good book. So yeah, absolutely reading anything your heart desires. Um, I mean, if you read like even Malcolm X, you can see how he was growing through the book. I know LeBron James didn't read it, but you could read that book, you'd be surprised.
Yep.
How his views changed. You got it on the shelf.
You wouldn't be talking about this one, would you?
Yeah, there it is. That's one of many books. How about The Seven Pillars of Wisdom by T.E. Lawrence?
I haven't gotten that one yet. 7 Pillars of Wisdom. I'm gonna have to get
Yeah,
that one, bro.
read that one. That's an excellent book too. They're just that's not these aren't fiction, obviously, but these are books where you actually learn how men grew. If you want to learn how men grew through experiences, good and bad, and became more than even what they're remembered for. When you read about them, you'd be surprised by the time you get to the last word of those books. If you want to read fiction, there's some great fiction out there too. You can learn quite a bit from fictional stories. There's historical fictions, that are excellent. Caravans is a really good historical fiction. It's a historical fiction. It takes place in Afghanistan. Um, some other ones I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's there's bookshelves back here
Yeah, you
loaded
get
with.
way more books than me, Rook. I ain't gonna lie. You get
Yeah.
way more than me, but I'm catching up, bro, because I like to read every book I
Well, don't
get.
it's not the number of books; it's how much of one book you retain. You know
Facts.
what I mean? So let me fix this because I gotta have my beauty light there. But yeah, reading for sure, traveling for sure, um, and travel. And your only agenda should be when you're traveling, and everything else come what may, should be just to experience the culture of wherever you're going. Get away from the tourist spots and get into local areas. And don't worry about if you don't know their language. I guarantee you one thing: if you can learn just a phrase or a few words and show that you put in some effort, it opens the doors for you when you get there. Everybody becomes your friend.
That's a
Uh,
fact. My broken Korean, I go to Koreatown today or any place in America where people speak Korean. I speak my little broken Korean. Man, you talk about opening doors and going a long way.
yeah. Traveling really opens up a lot of things and changes your perspective when you come back here and you look at a lot of the things you see on social media and on the news and all the negativity, all the polarization that's going on. And it's so trivial to you by the time you start having these worldly experiences. Have you ever heard of the overview effect?
No, I haven't heard of that. No,
So this is something that happens to people when they go to space and they see the whole planet from space.
that
Look
that
it up.
that blue dot, that big blue dot.
Yeah, look up overview effect on Wikipedia. It actually happened to William Shatner, Star Trek guy. Um,
Okay.
look that up because there is nothing that changes the perspective of your worldview like getting out of your where you live, your comfortable, familiar environs. Whether it's where you live and the clubs, and the beach and whatever places that we go to often. Get out of that and don't replace it by going to it somewhere else. Just go to somewhere completely different and experience something completely different. You're like, whoa. Now so see there, um, they
Yeah.
kind of
Over.
get this almost a depressed feeling from space because they see how small we really are and they see how insignificant we are in the grander scheme of things. Uh, and a lot of, I think just about everyone that goes to space and sees Earth, and you don't hear about this much, but if you look up William Shatner overview effect, you'll find that he actually talks about it. But it's like it says there, overwhelming emotion.
Yeah, it
And
says
you
the
come back
overview
to
effect. It says it's a cognitive shift reported by some
absolutely.
astronauts while viewing the Earth from space. Researchers have characterized the effect as a state of awe with transcendent qualities, participated by particularly striking visual stimulus. So you're saying people look at this after they get over the
Look at
awe
that
of it?
last sentence. The effect can cause changes in the observer's self-concept and value system and can be transformative. Now, we're not all going to get to space, but
Right.
we can all get out of the space we're in physically. And you'll find that sometimes physically removing yourself from the space that you're in, that you're comfortable with, or that you're sick of, or that you're just apathetic to because it's gotten so routine, that it can change you, it can be transformative in ways that you don't know. You can't plan that kind of stuff out. But that's an extreme example of what I'm talking about, the overview effect.
I'm with that too. And there's one last thing I wanted to ask you before I got to take my old ass to bed, bro. It's 3
Mhm.
a.m. But it's one last thing. People might not notice about you. And if they go to your YouTube channel, which I put in the chat, you guys
Mhm.
go to the YouTube channel and check out Brother Rook. Um, you are quite the writer, bro. Would you? Because I remember when you were doing your blogs, my girl Jill, you remember Jill?
Yeah, I
Jill
remember
was
Joe.
like, yeah, Jill could not wait for you to write. I remember the way you would write about the ocean. You had that it was one of your pieces you wrote.
Mhm.
You were the ocean was your woman, I think your wife, your girlfriend.
Yeah, I write a lot of poetry, hundreds of them. Those are on my website. I got them on lockdown right now, but I can unlock it if people want to read them. But you can't write poetry if you're not genuine and you don't know yourself. That too. Um, but yeah, that's another thing that I enjoy doing. Doesn't emasculate me to write poems because I'm past all that. A lot of people should get there because it's really opens a lot of things up for yourself um, and with others, I think.
I don't think there's anything wrong with writing, especially coming as a comedian, as a writer. I wish I could write poetry. Poetry is really difficult to write. Like you said, you have to be not just a sensitive person, let's say, but you have to be in tune with yourself
That's
so the
it.
shit makes sense.
Yeah. Everybody's sensitive. Some of the most sensitive people are the ones that are the most defensive.
Yeah.
You know, the loudest person in the room is usually the most sensitive one in the room, from my experience.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So nothing wrong with being sensitive. It's just learn how to focus those sensitivities so that they don't come out and manifest themselves in negative ways. They don't have to.
Facts.
Yeah.
But like, bro, you're an amazing writer. Like Jill at the time, and that's what she did. She
I don't
read
know about
scripts
that.
and all that. No, bro,
Yeah.
this is coming from Jill. Jill was like, "Yo, Rook's an amazing writer." She probably. I told her, "Oh, she's like, don't
Well,
tell him." But I was like,
whatever
that's why I
happened
ain't say
to
nothing
Jill?
to
I
her
haven't
now.
seen Jill in like a decade.
She went home, man. She's got a couple youngins. She's
All right.
doing really well. We've been trying to connect. She reached out, and we were supposed to call each other, and we've been missing. But I'm gonna
Mhm.
hit her up, man. You know, that's my
Yeah.
sister, man. Me
Tell
and
her I
Jill.
said, "What's up?"
I will. We put a dent in California, bro. We did what we could to do what we could to do what we
Yeah.
do. One of my nights is in the house, man. You know what I'm saying? I see you, brother G. In the building, nights in the building. What's up, Unc, man? And so I was saying that thing in closing. I was saying that thing about Mrs. Webb, Rebecca C. Webb,
Yeah.
because I want to do the same thing. You know, I look at the nights, we're older, we're like young men and older men.
Mhm.
Brother G Hammer right there, we got him on with the agency. So he's like one step closer to getting to Oklahoma City. We got another one of the nights that's also involved in that. We're trying to help and change lives, but I'm just trying to give back. Well, I remember when nights first came together and they were like, "Well, why are you here, Unc?" I'm like, "Look, bro, I'm just trying to pass on what little knowledge I have before I die." And this is kind of like what you were saying. Like, and this is what we're doing. We talk about stuff man to man, no bullshit, no filters, right? When we talk about stuff, we correct one another. We hold each other accountable. I think we need that now more than ever in this country because
Absolutely.
there doesn't seem to be any accountability, bro.
Mm-mm. Yeah. And it's got to be face to face, not this over the internet stuff. Where you have that shield of not actually being there. There's nothing like looking another man in the eye and having these conversations. Because then you can't, your facade breaks down pretty quickly
Real quick.
with the
Real
right
quick.
guy.
We can't have a conversation if
Think I lost you.
I'm back. My bad, Rook. My bad. I hit the wrong damn button. I was trying to hit this button here to stop my camera. It shows the icon. I hit the wrong button and it kicked me out of my own stream. But yo, man, let's give it up for Brother Rook for coming through. Coming through and dropping the knowledge, man. I appreciate you, Rook. I appreciate you, brother, man. I love you, brother, for real. I'm so glad you came up. My bad. Rook was like, I ain't stand up here by myself. He bounced. And I figured it out. Like, oh shit, how do I get back on here? And brother G, we definitely need more of that. I'm glad I found you, Saint. Glad to have you as one of my mentors, bro. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here with you, bro. You know what I mean? I mean that to you and all my nights out there, and for all the nights we haven't found yet. All these men ready to be nice. We just got to bring them in. Brother Rook, he's laughing like LOL, no worries. Rook, man, I appreciate that, man. This was a very profound stream. Thank you, brother, for coming through. I had no idea it was going to turn into what it turned into. This is something definitely to be proud of. Y'all heard what Rook said. Enough of the bullshit. Get out there, cut through people's defenses, find out who they are, make connections. Make connections. If you're talking to somebody who don't want to really drop their guard and show you who they are, just move on. Don't waste your time. Read, learn, share. Do these things, y'all. Do these things. Not only will it make you better, it will make us all collectively better as humans, right? Let's do that. Let's do that. If you see someone out there and they're struggling, man, look at them, make eye contact, and tell them, I see you. I see you, brother. I see you, sister. Let them know they're not alone. Even though they're surrounded by people, let them know they're not alone. Be there. Do what my cousin did for that man. He simply talked to that man and, helped that man in that moment. Helped him so much, in fact, that the man started crying. You know what I mean? So let's be there for one another. I gotta go, y'all. This has been a great stream, man. I done talked so much, I ain't even drunk no more, man. So I ain't lit Uncle Saint no more. I ain't even drunk no more. So thanks for rocking out with me. Again, special thank to Brother Rook. A special thank you for Brother Rook coming up. You know what I mean? That's for you, bro. Make sure you guys go over there to Rook's YouTube channel. If you haven't already done so, please go over and check out Brother Rook's YouTube channel at Rook, ROOK /Andalus, Andalus, ANDALUS. Go over there and check that out, man. Thanks for rocking out with us. Wonderful 34. I see you, bro. Thanks you so much. You know what I mean? My brother Knight in here, Brother G, Wonderful 34. Of course, Rook, Brother Mandrell, Brother Michael, and for all y'all out there Ninja watching, thank you. I'm DL Saint. This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. Good night, everybody.
Darn, that's the end.
Peace.